Welcome to Swalif Space. Today we are talking about something that quietly shapes professional life and personal value: job titles. Titles influence how colleagues see us, how we see ourselves, and even how responsibilities and opportunities are assigned. In the UAE, titles can also affect visa, mobility, and professional recognition, which makes them even more important in everyday life. Our guest today is Wafa Bardaa, is a recruiter and career expert. She works as a headhunter with one of the largest recruitment firms in the region. She has an investment and fintech academic background and works on critical mandates for government entities and companies in the region. Welcome to the show, Wafa.
Thank you so much.
So, why do they carry so much weight? Why is it important to have these job titles?
It's important for different reasons. I can name three. The first one is it impacts perception in the workplace and outside of the workplace. Titles are important because it impacts so many areas of our day-to-day. First of all, it can impact the type of meetings you're invited to. It can impact the type of people you speak to and the level of seniority of the people that you speak to, which will give you opportunities or which will open doors to you. This is from a workplace perspective. If, for example, you're a senior sales director, if you're in a sales function and you're approaching a new client or you're approaching a new partner, having a senior title is always perceived as something good. Whenever there is an issue, we want to talk to somebody senior, right? We want to talk to someone who is to the manager. Can you call me your manager? Right. This is what they say. So having that senior title can give you these the access to opportunities, to conversations, to decision making, and it also impacts your image.
I think it also influences if you're a CC or a BCC.
Exactly. Especially then, if they use you to threaten or to.
Exactly.
I agree.
But there are lots of systems out there. There's the American, British, local system for job titles. So how do you interpret, like, let's say you're moving from one company to another, how do you interpret your job title in this when moving to the next one?
Great one. That's I get asked this question a lot from my candidates. So basically, if you're a candidate and you're applying for a position, or you got headhunted by a headhunter or by the recruitment team in a company, by the talent acquisition team in a company, it's very you have the chance in the first call to ask these questions. A lot of recruiters, especially the ones that specialize in one industry, would know the different bandings and the different grades between companies. For example, a grade 10 in a certain company can be a grade E in another company. So you can ask that question if you're a candidate, and if banding matters a lot to you as a candidate, I'd recommend you ask this question as early as possible to know if you're doing a horizontal move or if you're gonna be going for a higher position. So it's always good to ask for that clarity at the beginning. A lot of these systems are not mentioned online, so because it's a lot of the time it's very specific to the company, it's very confidential, so it's better to ask your headhunter or your talent acquisition team member that's trying to approach you about these details before going for the opportunity.
Yeah, because sometimes I notice some companies, for example, the title of executive varies greatly between company to company.
True, you're right.
Yeah.
Executive can mean the junior most position in a certain entity or a certain company, and it can mean an executive, like even in recruitment we call it executive search when we work on C-level positions or board level positions. So you're right, yeah.
But having the right job title or lacking the right job title, let's say, can it affect your recognition and promotion in a company?
It can, of course. We can take it from two angles. The first one is having the title without the scope and without the authority. And the second one is leading without the title, which is a much better situation, if I'm being honest here.
It's less pay though.
True, true. It's less pay. You're right, but I'll get back to that.
Right.
On the part of having the title without having the scope, I think this is it can be damaging for the career from a future perspective or for your current situation. For example, if we go for a director level position without having the budget or the team to manage. Okay, you're a director, but then what are you actually doing? What's the project? What's the impact you're making on this company or on your consumers or on the beneficiaries of whatever you're doing? So in that, and then if you want to make a move, if you're targeting other companies and you want to grow and you don't even satisfy the criteria for a director, and you want to move for a chief position, for example, it can be a little bit challenging for your career. Whether if you're leading without the title, it makes you an attractive candidate in the market because you've got the authority, you've got the responsibility, you've got the team, so you have the experience in managing the team or managing a budget, etc. And then you don't have the title. You're right. It's less pay. It means the financials are not aligned with what you're looking for or with what you're working on, but it can have a lot of benefits as well. And I'm not encouraging people to go for low paying jobs or go for lower salaries. No, what I want to say here is to focus on the scope, to focus on what you're actually achieving in the position before looking at the title. Because a title without the scope is it's like a velvet box without a ring in it, you know?
Yeah, there's no point.
Exactly. So that's my take on it.
Well, if we go back a step,
Yeah.
back to the structure of job titles.
Yeah.
Some companies don't have a proper structure or they don't follow any specific system, let's say.
True.
A friend of mine, her company, they suffer that issue of not having a proper structure of the job titles.
Okay.
And she told me, Muhammad, congratulate me, I'm a POE. And I said, what does that mean? She's like, princess of everything.
We love such titles.
I love that title, it's very nice. But why do you think HR does that? I mean, why do they sometimes avoid following a specific structure?
I believe we see this in different markets, this practice of lacking the structure or lacking a clear grading system. I believe that HR, they don't do it because they're evil or because they're targeting certain employees or candidates. I believe it's a lack of budget and lack of expertise most of the time. To set up these grading systems, you need to have a system that includes everybody that's in the company, which can also impact the structure of the company later on, etc. And you have to engage with a consultant that will work with you on your comp and band structure and your grading and banding structure. So sometimes for companies that lack the budget, it's challenged to have a clear structure. A lot of companies are also just starting their startups. They're trying to figure out their products. They're trying to build the product. So there isn't a lot of attention to the titles or to the banding. So it really depends on the level of maturity of the company and whether the company is a multinational or not. Because if I take a multinational company, if they're present in France or in the US or in the UAE, it's the same banding, and you would find people moving across countries for the same banding or for a higher one. So it really depends on the maturity and the company in itself.
Right, and you also mentioned some people do have more responsibilities than their actual job title.
Yeah.
So if you are in that position, how do you make sure that your job title makes sense or reflects your competency?
What you're doing, okay. So if we're talking about the company internally, we'll talk about two parts. How do you make sure that this is reflected on what you're doing internally, and then externally. Externally, it's very simple. There is one main platform, in this region at least, there is one main platform that we use to headhunt candidates and to recruit. It's LinkedIn. So you need to mention on your LinkedIn, even if your title is vague, even if it's manager, or even if it's vague, make it very specific. So if you're a sales manager, if you're a technology, if you have any position in tech manager, etc., mention the geographies you're handling, and then mention your achievements. mention the number of team members that report to you, the headcount that's under your responsibility, mention the budget that's under your responsibility, and mention your achievements. This is how people can relate to it. This is on the externally. Internally, it goes beyond that. It's gonna be about self-promotion at the workplace. You need to be vocal about your achievements. If you're handling a lot of projects without the title, it means you're gonna be exposed to senior people, and it means the company will know that this person is key for the company.
So this is from the side of the employee or the person. What about the side of the company? How can the company prevent this?
So to prevent such instances, I've been talking about grading and banding. So the grade is linked to the title, and then the banding is linked to the responsibilities and pay scale. So if you're a company and you have those they call them high potential employees, having different bandings within the same grade can help. For example, if I have somebody with 5 years of experience, but they're amazing, they're high potential, they're working very hard, they're already coaching some team members without having the actual responsibility on paper, the promotion we can speed up the promotion. For example, we can give them different awards or different recognitions to make sure that the person is being recognized for what they're doing, so that they feel valued and so that they stay within the company. Because these good members that are underpaid and that are leading without the title, eventually another company is going to discover them and they're going to headhunt them. So for the company, it's actually good for them to try different matrices to retain these talent.
We mentioned briefly about responsibility versus compensation, and you brought it up again now. If you're in that trap of having lots of responsibilities that don't reflect what your worth in the market, how can we approach this in a fair way?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because I get asked a lot this question from candidates as well. So if you are in a company and you believe you're not compensated fairly and you're doing a lot, but
they have to have evidence, not just that they want more pay.
Exactly. Of course, it needs to be backed by examples and by achievements. So if you're in that situation, I would say, obviously, again, it has to make sense to whoever you're talking to. If you're going to your manager, I believe it's all about going with the right mindset and attitude. It's not like I've been working on all this. If you don't promote me, I'm leaving. It has to be the right mindset. If I'm talking to my direct manager, N+2, N+1, it has to be about, okay, this is what I've been working on. I really want to grow into my career. I want to get promoted. I want to get more responsibilities. Or no, you already have so many responsibilities. I want to grow. I want to grow within the company. Can you give me the KPIs or the milestones that I need to achieve in order to reach this level? If I'm a manager, how do I become a senior manager, for example? So having those KPIs and not waiting until the year, we all have these yearly performance reviews that are very stressful. Without waiting for that, we have to be self-aware enough to go and speak to our either HR team or manager, have these KPIs and milestones, work towards them, have clear matrices on how this is going to be evaluated, and do your part as an employee in achieving these matrices, and then have that conversation again. If this is going to sound controversial, but if things are moving towards a better future, it's good. That company deserves to have somebody like you, and you would stay and you would get that promotion. But if you feel like there's nothing happening or there is empty promises, then there is LinkedIn and there is headhunters, and
you're trying to promote your services.
Exactly. You just need to be visible on these platforms for the right headhunter or the right company to find you, and you can move.
Okay. Let's say, unfortunately, it didn't work. Khalas, you're leaving the company and you're now being interviewed by a new one.
Okay.
How do you ensure that you receive the right job title without overselling yourself?
Great question. So when you apply for a position or get approached by a headhunter or talent acquisition member, in the first call, I highly recommend asking clear questions about the title and about the scope, because if we're at the last stage of interviews and you remember that you need to ask about the title, then we're in a very critical situation. So at the beginning of the process, there usually is a clear title. If the company is established, there is a clear title with the clear job description and clear scope. If the company is in the building phase, if it's in a different situation where they're building the team, still building the product, acquiring
like a startup, you mean?
Like a startup, or even established companies that are building a new department and they haven't identified the right titles, usually the HR part or the recruitment part would be honest with you about it. They would tell you, this is the title that we're gonna hire for. Are you okay to proceed or not? Or you would apply and see the title. So honesty is key here. At the beginning of the process, you have to be honest about it. You can tell them, this is what I want. I want to go for a manager position. Or if they don't have that, you can ask for it. If it's a deal breaker for you, it's better to stop the process earlier. So this is my take on it.
What about the people who believe that it's what you do at work, it's what you give to the company that matters and would help you get promoted, let's say, or develop in your career, versus the people who say no, you have to focus on the progress of your job title?
I see. It's the answer here can be very personal, because it's all about the motivation of the employee or the candidate. I'll give the example of a tech candidate. If you're in tech and you want to grow into an expert position where you become an expert in that specific technology, then it's a different path. But if you want to grow into a managerial position and lead team members and maybe be a little bit away from the technology itself and the technicalities of the day-to-day, in that case it's different. Then you work and you follow the path. Based on my experience in the GCC, the most attractive candidates in the market are the ones that treat their companies as if it's their own companies. It's very important to be passionate about what you're doing. It's very important to have a reason why you walk into your office every day, or why you log into your Teams and every day, and your Outlook every day. So if you treat the company you're working for as your own company, things are gonna be different. This doesn't mean that you have to stay in that company for 20 years and then retire there.
Right.
But for that amount of time where you're employed by that company and where you're working on those projects, I believe it's the best way to approach it is to treat it as if it's your own. For example, me as a headhunter, why do I love my job? Why do I do it as if, why do I work for GRG, but I feel like it's my own company? Why? Because whenever I'm going into work in the morning, the only thought I have is, I love to give a chance to those who never thought they could have one. And I love building things from scratch. So I love bringing people together and having them build a project or a product together. So this is what motivates me every morning.
I love that sentiment. It's very nice.
Thank you. And it's very rewarding. Maybe because of the nature of my job, because I deal with people on a daily basis, but it's very rewarding. I remember, I believe 2 weeks ago, I've had a candidate that I've placed in earlier this year. And when we went through the interview process, he told me that he's expecting a baby soon.
Oh.
So it was a big deal, and he was going to become a dad for the first time in his life, and the career move was very big. And it was his first time changing companies, and I approached him. So I proactively approached him. He wasn't like applying or anything.
You headhunted him.
I headhunted him, exactly. Okay. And we've been working with this company for so long, so we've placed so many employees there. So I remember, I believe last month, I woke up in the morning and I found a message from this candidate. He sent it to me at 3 a.m. He was like, "Hey Wafa, just wanted to let you know I just became a dad.
Aw.
Mom and baby are in good shape. Just wanted to let you know." And I was so happy to see that. And then the same morning, a couple of other employees in the same company, they texted me. They're like, "Did you know he became a dad?" And you know, it's very easy to find purpose in what you're doing. You just have to. It's very cliche, like finding purpose or finding passion in what you do, or loving your job, jobbing your life. It's very, it's very.
We're still trying to understand that part.
I'm still. We'll have a focus group about that later on. But
I'm sure also there are some candidates that have you holding your head. It's like, oh my God.
Of course, of course. But again, nobody's evil. I believe even those candidates, they went through their own path, and that's why they are where they are. And I'm sure at some point they'll realize that things need to change and things need to be better for them, like for a better future.
Right.
Yeah.
So, to navigate job titles in the UAE, what is the one thing that you tell people to do, to avoid, and to keep in mind?
Amazing. One thing to do is to ask about the scope of the position before signing the offer, or even before going through the interview process. Ask this question, ask about the scope, the title, and the growth opportunity. It's a simple question. How does growth look like? I always, when I coach my candidates before their interviews, I tell them, ask this question. What's one thing you want me to focus on to see quick wins and long-term gains? Ask it in the interview so you understand what you're signing up for, so that we're not surprised 3 months down the line after you joined. We're like, oh, Wafa, you
didn't accomplish what is required.
Exactly. You sent me to this company. It's not good. And it's not that the company is not good. It's just that motivations are not aligned and the plan is not the same.
And what to avoid?
What to avoid? This is a request from all candidates, that either the ones that interacted with me or the ones that have other headhunters, please, please, please don't go for inflated titles, because it might look big, it might look financially more appealing.
So no POEs.
Exactly. Princesses of everything usually. Well, there's a question mark there, so we need to be very careful with that. So don't go for inflated titles.
Okay. And what to keep in mind?
What to keep in mind? Be visible. The only platform, not the only, the platform that we use the most is LinkedIn, and we headhunt based on what you write on your LinkedIn profile. So be as genuine as possible. Highlight your achievements. It's not about bragging or showing off. No, it's a place to tell people I'm approachable. You can come and talk to me. This is what I've achieved. This is what I can do for your company. It makes you relatable. And being relatable, being familiar, familiarity creates, being familiar will push the company to make the decision faster. Being familiar will make you get hired faster and will make you have more opportunities that are like more headhunters or more companies that are trying to recruit you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That was Wafa sharing her insight on how job titles quietly shape careers and professional value. If you found yourself reflecting on your own title, your responsibility, or your career path, it may be time to assess whether your role and title truly matches your skill and goals. Until next time, stay thoughtful, stay grounded, and we will see you in the next conversation.